Yo, what's up, dudes? How's it going? So back again to check out Bias Desktop. This is Power Place, which is, I have no idea what amp that's supposed to be. So if you know, let me know, because I don't know. So for this, I'm going to check out the sort of higher gain amps. There's three sections: high gain, which has an orange clone, what was that? Soldano clone, and like a diesel clone, and I don't know what. Oh, here goes my demo version. There we go. I don't really know what this is supposed to be. Maybe it's a. Sounds pretty good though. RB 101. I know that I find the orange is a little bright. I'm not crazy about that. You know, I mean, just straight out of the gate, you just gotta, bring the treble and the presence down. Maybe crank the gain up a hair. See how much more low end comes out from the gain change. One thing I'll say about Bias, I find that not only does the gain react pretty realistically, in terms of just gain. In other words, it changes the EQ as a part of the gain, right? Also, I find that the master doesn't, once you get past about, noon, right, on the dial, once you get past about halfway, it doesn't really get louder. It changes its timbre, which is correct, right? Because you're overdriving the output section. So, if I crank this up, it's not really louder. Maybe a little louder, but not really. It's more in how the amp reacts. In fact, what I hear is a lot more low end. So let's move ahead to, let's see, that was high gain. Let's try this slow 100. We'll just whip right through these. Again, kind of bright. I'd feel better with the treble rolled off. Maybe bring the master up here. Much better. Though some might find that muddy. I like that. I like that a little bit. And let's see, what do we have here? The Monster VH4. This is clearly the diesel, I would think. Man, this sounds good. Not too shabby. Playing EMG pickups, it's an 89. The 89 is a splittable 85, in case you're wondering. So I can pull this out and get a single coil. Little difference right there. This is the 5153 Mark II. This is probably my least favorite amp in this whole collection. Compare that to the triple tread plate. I love that a lot more. Just a lot more. Just not nearly as harsh, And then the other thing I have to remind myself is that I'm a 6-string player, and I play in E. So, see, I'm even rarely playing in E flat, where, most of the dudes who are coming on here and playing like these amps, they're in like A flat. It's like they're tuned down to B and then drop that whole step. In other words, they have a low B, then they drop everything a half step, and then they drop the low E another whole step. Which is, you're in bass territory. So I think when I hear the brighter amps and they're not working for me, it could just be the fact that I'm using a 6-string. This is the Mark II-C, which I like a lot. A very mid-range amp. You can hear so much more mid-range compared to the prior. And then... pretty good. We're going to crank right through them here. The slow SP88. Again, probably a Soldano. Or a demo. There it goes. And another thing I'm hearing. No. A little bit right there. Tiny bit of aliasing. They all do it. TH2 does it. Guitar Rig 5 does it. It's just the nature of the beast. The Fire amp. See, again, that's so bright to me. Doesn't that sound super bright? Like the mids and the highs are totally cranked up. So let's tweak it a little bit here. A little bit more mid, a little bit less treble, a little bit less presence, a little bit more bass. Better. But again, I'm playing in E. And I think that some of these amps are made for the articulation of a 7-string, an 8-string, maybe even a 9-string. When will the madness stop? I won't rest until everyone has an 11-string. Fucking 9 strings. Oh. Someone over at the design factory was bored. I actually like these. This is the Positive Insane. Just looking at the grill, it looks like a Randall, but this could just be their, their internal amp, and it's not really meant to mimic any other amp. Hear that? A little bit right there. Right there. Hear it? A little bit of aliasing. Maybe only I can hear it. But as my doctor tells me, I have a little bit of high-end roll-off, as I guess anyone my age would start to have. I find it really comes out on the chirps. Not there, though. See, now I'm obsessed with it. That's pretty good. A little bit right there. What you're listening for is that when I'm going up, you'll hear a little thing almost like shoop, right in the background. You got to listen for it, but it's there. Pretty good. Crank this gain up. heaviest that tune's ever been played. A little muddy. What's amazing is how the presence, when you crank it up, to me that sounds like less presence. But maybe what it's doing is it's just sort of squeezing out the treble, right? And maybe it's hitting a higher frequency that I'm not quite hearing. It's entirely possible. Crank that back here. So that's what the amp sounds like with the noise gate off, and that's what it sounds like with the demo version on. Here it goes. Noise gate on, noise gate off, noise gate on, noise gate off. So, you know, these things can get, let me just bring that gain down to even respectable levels. Still kind of noisy. You know, all these amps have that. That's why I run a gate all the time. Which will squeeze this note out at some point. There it goes, right there. Yeah, noise gates have been a fact of life, you know, since high gain amps were invented. So, you know, I don't think it's anything new. Did we go through them all? Did we hit the insane 51, 53? Maybe we skipped that one. I like this better than their other 5153, than their metal version, their 5153 Mark II. I like the insane 5153 better. Not quite as bright. See if you could just score that little. How much bass comes in when I just, you see that? I raised the gain. I didn't change any of the EQ. A lot more bass. I raised the master a hair, and I turned the gain up. A lot more bass. So, you know, one thing I will say about Bias is that I think their controls, you know, definitely sort of mimic real life. You know, in that sense, you know, these are very, very similar to what you get, if not identical, other than amp match, to what you get in the iPad version. What you get is the convenience of having it in your desktop version for recording. And of course, if anyone out there has ever done recording, you know, when you're done recording, you can mix it down at, you know, 4 or 5 times the speed of the recording. Very quick to render. So, you know, that's certainly a benefit. If you recorded through your iPad and just recorded an audio track, they can only render it so fast, you know. It gets a little trickier. You know, not that it can't go beyond 1x, but, you know, I just find that when you record and you have, and plus you can do all this post-processing too, right? So you record it. I can't tell you how many times I've recorded something and then gone back and just said, you know, for shits and giggles, let me try a few different patches, and found another patch that I thought sounded a lot better. And one that when I play the guitar, it doesn't sound great. So I needed this like one patch to sort of give me the feel I wanted, and then another patch to sort of give me the sound I wanted. And, you know, once I sort of reconciled that, it really did sound great. And again, it just was a patch I would have never thought to use. But once I heard it in the mix, I was like, you know, that really does sound better. So, you know, that's certainly a feature. And then, you know, of course, the other cool thing, and I don't know how easily I can do this. Well, I won't try and do it here because I have the screen recorder on, and this screen recorder is stealing away CPU cycles. What I was going to do is turn on another instance of Bias and then start to pan them a little bit. And then that way you can get a full-blown stereo rig, which is pretty sweet, or from a single chain, right? So you just run the same input to both tracks, You pan one a little one way, and pan the other a little other way, and then use 2 different patches, and you really get this great like stereo rig. So again, sort of a bonus you can get using bias for the desktop versus bias for the iPad, because the iPad is only going to run one instance at one time. So again, there's a little bit, but bias for the iPad is what, $19.99, right? And bias for the desktop is $199.99. A $99 for the basic, but who buys the basic, right? You want the full-blown version. You want the amp matching. I mean, maybe that's not important to you. And then there was one other thing like tone cloud or tone chaining or fixed tone chain clouding. Go to the website. I'm sure they have lots of color brochures to download. It brings out the harmonic. And I think it's because of that I'm not because I already have bias for my iPad. I don't feel totally compelled, and I already have 3 working, software rigs. I'd be unlikely, I think, to drop 200. Of course, if Positive Grid wants to throw me one, I'd be sure to use it once in a while, but I don't think I'll be shelling out $200 for it anytime soon. Especially where I have the iPad one and lots of substitutions. So, it's a great product. I think it's, certainly worth the $199, and that's in the zone for what other people are asking. Guitar Rig 5 is about $199. TH2 is roughly $199, $179. Maybe you're lucky, you'll get it for $139 on sale. I mean, they're all around that. But here's the thing. Bias is relatively new technology, whereas, TH2, we're coming up on the 4-year anniversary of that release. So they better have something cooking, because I'm getting a little, anxious to see something new. And if I have to guess, they will probably have a new system where you can download and buy in-app purchases, right? That's what every developer out there, we got to do in-app purchases. So whatever they release, I suspect it's going to have in-app purchases, because that seems to be the rule right now. Don't develop anything unless you can run an in-app purchase. So there you have it. There's Bias Metal. What is this? This is the Insane in the Membrane. And they have a few other ones, acoustic, but we can try the Acoustic Sim here if you want. Why not? Probably have to bring the gain up a little bit. Seems to be like a... Seems to be almost like a massive mid scoop, right? Which is basically what an acoustic is anyway, right? All bass and treble, no mids. All right, and no sustain. All right, guys. As always, rock on, and I'll be back up real soon. I'm stuck in sort of Premiere land, doing a whole bunch of videos. I'm redoing one video that I shot a couple years ago that's sort of popular, but God, I hate that video. So I'm redoing it, and I got a few things cooking. Like I told you, the Tone King came over, and I got an hour of footage of that I'm cutting up, and try and tighten that down. And that's about it. All right, guys. As always, rock on. Get up here, and this is my heavy relic Ibanez. What the hell? He played it so hard, he put grooves between the frets. What? That's crazy. Yeah, look how even it is, too. Oh, yeah. All right, guys. As always, rock on.